busyness, complexity, fatigue, even success can keep us from reaching new levels of success. What is the root cause of your lack of effectiveness? I wouldn't change roles until I'd done a hard look at my personal effectiveness.
Things get better when leaders get better. Do you ever feel like you're struggling to stay effective in your work? If so, you're not alone. Welcome to the Lead Everyday Show. I'm Randy Gravitt.
And I'm Mark Miller.
And Mark, we're in a little summer series here, listener questions coming at us. Yesterday, we talked about saying no with care. If you missed that episode, I hope you go check it out. But today, check this question out, Mark. Is it time for me to move on if I sense I'm not effective anymore? There are people out there who are wondering, like, should I leave my job, maybe even my career path, and go down another path? This is a huge question. It's one actually I've written about with Dan Webster in Unstuck. We kind of went down this road a little bit. I can't wait to talk about it with you. Is it time for me to move on if I sense I'm not effective anymore? What you got a thought?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe not. I think you got to try to get at the root. I mean, if you've developed poor work habits or you don't have adequate levels of self-leadership and you change roles, you're going to be ineffective in the next role.
Yeah.
So I think there's an important diagnostic phase, assessment phase. Maybe that's something you do by yourself. Maybe you get others to help you with that assessment. What is the root cause or causes of your lack of effectiveness? I mean, we wrote about that in Smart Leadership.
That's right.
And just for those that have not seen that content, we did a study, a multi-year study to figure out how to help leaders improve their effectiveness. And we determined that the primary culprit is what we call quicksand. And it varies from person to person and season to season, but some of the usual suspects include busyness, complexity, resource scarcity, fear, fatigue. Even success can keep us from reaching new levels of success. And so that entire body of work is built around some choices that you and I can make to improve our effectiveness. So I guess my bottom line is I wouldn't change roles or change organizations until I'd done a hard look at my personal effectiveness. What are the things that are within my control to help me be more effective?
Yeah, and I'll give them a little flyby here of Unstuck. It's very similar to what we talked about, but I think there are these phases. I'll use your word phases. We talked about phases as well when we wrote about it, and we think there's 6 phases, and I won't go through all of them, but the first one is the excitement phase. I mean, you get in a new job or a career, you're pretty fired up. I mean, think about a relationship even. You start a new relationship. There's always this excitement phase. You're pumped up about that. And then you begin to realize, okay, I got to learn what I'm doing. And now all of a sudden you get into what we call the fundamental phase. And so if you're learning your fundamentals and things are going great, but what happens is we get to this place of, we'll call it just a contribution phase. You've been there for a while and you start knowing the answers to the test. And maybe the person who asked this question, I don't feel effective anymore, gets to what we call the stop sign. I mean, there's a point in every career, every job, every season, where you can get to a point and you're going to go, okay, I'm not really sure I'm being effective anymore. And what do you do at that point? And I'll skip around to down the bottom where we talk about our basically our traction formula, because this is about I don't feel traction anymore. And we started with introspection, and nobody talks about that word. I don't even hear the word, but it means to inspect on the inside. You guys you're selling chicken forever. You understand inspecting stuff on the outside. Well, you got to have, there's government regulations and there all kind of stuff. And so, but who's taking time to really inspect, like, what's going on in me? And it may not be the job as much as it may be, you talked about self-leadership, and it may be, I'm just allowed myself to get in the quicksand, so to speak. And so if I'll do some introspection, it will actually tell me where I am. We always say you have to start where you are, but you don't have to stay there. Mm-hmm. But you do have to start there. And I think that time where we say, okay, what's really going on in me that's causing me to not feel effective? If I can identify that and then redirect, it's introspection plus redirection. Now it's not enough just to redirect. Because what happens is sometimes we can when I introspect, if I'm not careful, I'll know I'm headed in the wrong direction, and I'll take my foot off the gas. And there are people who don't feel effective that would fall into that category of disengaged at work. You and I talked about it just a few weeks ago that, what is it, 80% now of people are, I just heard a statistic this on the way that said 71% of people are saying, I'm disengaged 100% of the time. They don't care at all. And this question sort of, breathes some of that, where if I don't feel affected, I'm just going to pull back and take my foot off the gas. Well, we say you got to redirect, but that's still not enough. You're going the wrong direction. You turn the car around. You still got to put your foot on the gas and take action. And so it's introspection, redirection, and action can create traction. So if I'm in a job where I don't feel effective at this point, I need to assess. I need to ask myself why. And if I do need to redirect, maybe I need to do my job differently, or maybe I do need to go do a different job. I mean, I like your answer. Maybe it may be time for a new challenge. I know. There've been times in my career, and you same way, when we get a new challenge, new opportunity, it's going to help you level up, and that engagement is going to come back. That excitement actually comes back, and now you realize, I don't know what I'm doing here either, and I got to figure that out with fundamentals. But I think there's you and I've been around a while. You just see these seasons of renewal that actually are available if we can fundamentally get this right and have some ways to think about this and do the self-leadership thing well. I think this is a tremendous opportunity. So I would say, for the person who's listening that doesn't feel effective, I like the idea that this is an opportunity for you to assess what's going on with you and maybe even make a shift into something that might even be a greater contribution down the road.
Yeah. And the thing I'll say about seasons is I love the metaphor, but in this case, you control the seasons as opposed to being a recipient of the seasons as they change. You actually can do things in your life and in your career to move to another season, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, that's great. I'd say to every single person listening, whether you're the person who feels ineffective or maybe you feel effective, I love the idea of making sure that we're doing some introspection on an ongoing basis, I guess I would say, and we continually are leaned in to do great work. Right. Even if I feel effective, I want to, to what you're saying there, I want to continue to double down there, because we need you to do great work. I mean, things get better when leaders get better. We believe that. And if we can really lean into that, we got a chance to make things better. We do not need to be, you always say, nobody drifts to greatness. No team drifts to greatness. Organization.
Or individual. Organization.
Exactly. And so if we're out there feeling ineffective, we can't stay there. We've got to understand why and address that.
Yeah. And so I don't know that I can take people to the depths that you're advocating. And I'm a fan of that, like, inner work, but we do have a tool that'll get you started. We have a free assessment. If you will text 66866, text Be Smart to 66866. And by the way, that Be Smart is with no space, which I'm not sure that's smart.
But that may not, but it's one word though.
It's one word, Be Smart, 66866. We'll give you a free assessment that it won't do all that deep work, but it'll
get them started.
It'll get you started to realize
and some prescriptions
that maybe
there.
There's some things that you need to do before you decide to move on.
Yeah, I love that. All right, come back tomorrow. We're going to continue our little summer series here. We're season 6. And we're gonna continue to answer your questions. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out at leadeveryday.com. You send those in. You might make the list here. We'll see. We've got a big, long list of questions we're going to continue to dive into. Remember, the best leaders lead every day.